Lifestyle Wellness Group. How are you on this Tuesday? First, let me know, excuse me, where in the country are you and what does your weather look like? Because for the first time in, I don't know, since like maybe the last hurricane, I watched the Weather Channel last night and I saw it was like freezing over most of the country. And you guys in Texas, man, I just feel so bad. It's crazy out there. So let me know what the temperature is in your neck of the woods. And we are continuing our detox reset series theme for this month of February. So, past few weeks, I've talked about detoxing, what it means nutritionally, physically, right? With the nutritional detox. And then think last week I went over a friendship detox and why you may or may not need that and what it can do for you. This week, I want to talk to you just about a life reset in general. Okay, so nothing specific to our nutrition or friendships per se, but just about things that we have going on in our life that is not no longer serving us, not serving us well, is actually causing us more stress, financially, emotionally, so things of that nature. Okay, so lately it seems, and of course this happens at all moments in time, but I just feel like it's so pronounced now that there are so many people just moving out of state. I think 2020 has just taught us to look more inward and to be, I guess, to slow down and to really concentrate on what matters, what matters most: your family, your health, your environment, right? Your home environment. Because if you can't travel and if you can't just go places, you really need to love where you live, right? And I'm not saying that it's got to be like this big mansion or anything like that, but you need to like where you live. Maybe you just need to spruce it up and, I don't know, paint the walls or just clean it up, do a really deep spring cleaning, if you will. So many people are moving out of state even these days. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. We've always had an influx of people here. I forget the exact number. I want to say maybe 1,200 people a month moved here. That's pre-COVID. After COVID, I think that number's increased because I keep getting messages from friends who live up north who are moving down, and South Carolina is on one of their states to check out. So I can't tell you how many messages I've dealt just giving people information the last few days. Anyway, so excuse me, I don't know, I got a tickle in my throat. But I also know people who have downsized significantly. So it's not always going to a larger house, of course. It's just going to a house that better suits you. So downsizing so you have the space that you need and not more, right? Not excess. And also that can save you a lots of money financially. My husband and I paid off $110,000 worth of debt maybe 5 years ago now, when we sold one home in Charleston and bought another one about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away. So it was still in Charleston, but the price was less. It wasn't as big, it wasn't as fancy, because we realized, what the heck do we even need that for? So we saved on that, on our mortgage debt. We paid off, like, we had 2 new car loans. We paid off on that, like stupid stuff. Like, just because you can afford it does not mean you should pay for it. And I don't mean to get that much off subject, but there are people who are, getting back to the subject, right? A life reset, who are resetting their lives by moving and going into something that is just better for them during this time period. I know people who, you know, are going to a smaller house in a different state, saving tons and tons of money because, and they said, for far too long we've just been overextended financially, and it's stressful because now you have to take care of a bigger house, pay bigger utility bills, clean more, worry about more, insure more, when 2020 especially has taught us to, I think, just be, to live simpler, I guess, if I will, if that is coming across right. But I think you guys kind of know what I mean, because we've all lived through the last year and have realized the stuff that's important, that we thought was important, isn't important, and the stuff that we've been ignoring and too rushed to look at, we're now focused more on. So Hitting a reset button on your life can be magical. Like it can save on stress, it could save obviously financially. We just went over that. Um, just emotionally, like less anxiety. You're in a place that just serves you better and suits you more, and you just feel, in a space maybe where you could be more creative if you have your own business, say. Not everything in life is in need of a full reset, but you need to just look at the different areas of your life and figure out where you're on that hamster spinning wheel and where you need to stop, think, and reset. Maybe you've just got so much stuff and you realize you really want to live more of a minimalistic lifestyle. So that's another area too where you can just purge. I did this recently with my closet. I realized there's just stuff in there that I was holding on to for no reason other than maybe one day I'll get to wear it. Maybe one day I'll lose those 10 pounds and get to fit in it. Maybe one day I'll be invited to a fancy party and I'll need it. So I really decided to get rid of stuff in my closet, and it felt so empowering to just not hold on to stuff that I didn't need. So again, maybe the reset is just with the stuff in your house. I'm not saying that you guys all should just go move, but there are different areas in our life that once you just focus on and be intentional and realize like what you really want and need, then maybe those are the areas that you can do a reset on or in. So some places you might want to look to do a reset, and we touched on this a little bit, like your spending, your financial situation. Your standard of living will improve when your income rises or your expenses get lower, right? So if the idea of minimalism is brand new to you, it's very likely that your current lifestyle and um, what's the word I'm looking for? The accumulation of stuff, we all have stuff, is more important in your life than you realize. So start by looking at your spending, and then start by looking at what's coming in, right? Maybe you need a reset on your job. Maybe your job is stressing you out so much that you need to get a new job, and maybe that job pays a little less. I don't know. Only you can make that decision whether it's worth it or not. So you're going to look hard at your spending. You're going to question your work, right? The average person spends more than 90,000 hours of their life at work. That is crazy. 90,000 hours of their life is spent at work. You better like what you do. You really need to like what you do, and hopefully you're not just doing it just for the paycheck and you hate everything else about it. So for many, work has become their routine, and they've given up any thought of like changing jobs. Our job is our job, and the thought of doing something different just never crossed their mind. And I think that's why so many Americans are stressed and disengaged at work and just hate, Monday mornings. And I also think that 2020, because of all the lockdowns and people losing jobs, I think there was a lot of silver linings that people found during this time period, or hopefully they looked for the silver linings in all the unexpected chaos that has happened in this past year. So if you're talking seriously about resetting your life, looking at your work, what you do for at least a third of your waking hours is an essential consideration. All right. Next, I want you to look and consider your time commitments. Many of us live hurried, stressful lives. We rush from one activity to the other. We have our children in a few different sports and activities. And if you have more than one child, my gosh, it's all over the place. Because if each kid is even only doing one and you have 3 kids, that's 3 activities every week, plus your stuff that you have to do, right? So look at your time commitments. Look at I go by how I want to feel. I want to feel peaceful during the week, not stressed and hurried. So if feeling peaceful is a priority for me and my family, and that I have calm and patience for my children, then that probably means saying no to more time sucking commitments or more activities than the average bear, right? Like I'm just going to say no more often because I know my priority is peace and calm and not rushing from place to place and not eating fast food because you get home from work and you have to rush out and you don't have time to cook. Okay, so you have to look at your time commitments that you have slowly accumulated through the years and just look at it with a new lens or a new filter and how it's going to align with your values, right? You have to figure out what your values are. Like I said, for me, peace and calm. I do not want to be running all over the place. So, next, check your motivations. When you look deeper than your actions and begin checking your motivations, um, you're going to recognize some unhealthy ones that are going to be emerging. If you're in the pursuit of, say, riches or accolades or stuff, you're going to, once you really sit and look at that, you're going to realize that maybe it doesn't line up with your true values and you were just kind of doing it to keep up with the Joneses or what have you. It's wise to check your motivations, but we rarely do. I think if you were going to do a life reset, it would be foolish not to check the motivations that moved us to where we are right now, because you can do the reset and in 6 months from now, you're going to find yourself accumulating more stuff or saying yes to more time commitments or working a job just for the, whatever, extra money, even though you would hate what you would be doing. So by checking your motivations, this reset won't be just a band-aid approach. It will be more of a way of life approach so you can go forward and not slip back. Evaluate your friendships, your relationships. Now, we really went over this last week. If you didn't catch last Tuesday's video, I strongly recommend you go catch that. We talked about detoxing friendships and, seasons of friends, and they're not meant to be in our life forever. And when you clear out some friends, and I go into more detail, then you leave room for the people who are supposed to be in your life. So evaluate your relationships. People are not things. Choose which relationships to keep. And it'll be as simple as decluttering things in your closet. So balance is really important in this area. We're not saying to call up your friends and say, okay, we're breaking up. I don't have time for you anymore. No, I'm not saying that. You're not necessarily, cutting them out of your lives 100%. You're just maybe pulling back a little. You're not, calling them all the time or agreeing to meet to lunch once a month or whatever it looks like for you. So that's that. Like I said, go check out last week's video. Next, be honest about your habits. The habits we develop will increase our chances of success. Likewise, if we have bad habits, where our chances for success are not increasing, they're decreasing, right? So check your habits. Our habits are going to keep us from our goals or get us closer to our goals. What habits are creating a better you? What habits are keeping you stuck where you are? Resetting your life is going to take more than this one video that you're watching now and a one-time decision evaluation. You're going to have to review it every so often and rewire your habits from the ground up. So everything I just said is probably not even a complete list, but it's certainly a starting point for you guys, like a springboard. There's other considerations. Everybody's different. I don't know what you've got going on in your life, but it takes some slowing down to examine this before you can speed up and get to your ultimate goal. So more than anything, I just want to encourage you that, this is probably harder than, I don't know, maybe some of the other goals that you have in your life, because you really need to evaluate in every area what you want to do, what you want it to look like, right? Your vision for the future in all the areas. I've done videos on this before, guys. So go back, check those videos, check out my podcast. I just came off a 3-part video podcast show series on vision, how to create your vision. And we're going to be going into a confidence series. So if you haven't checked out the Life on Tap podcast, I don't know what you're waiting for. Tons of value there every week in your ear. Every Monday I drop a show. And head on over to francierivera.com. Let me know what you want to hear about. And that's it, guys. So I will see you next Tuesday. Just be encouraged that you can hit a reset if you want to. Oh, look at it, Marcella. Did I say that right? Right? It's a hard C, Marcella or Marcella. Okay, either way, that is a beautiful name. I've been doing this too. So awesome. Yes, I think 2020 has spurred a lot of people to look and consider things that we just never considered before. So like I said, there was a lot of silver linings in what has happened this past year. If you look for them, they're there. All right, my friend, I will see you next Tuesday. Take care.